Imagine this. You're in Yorkshire, 1830. It's a frosty morning in the market square.
Mm.
There's a crowd murmuring, but it's not excitement. It's dread.
Okay.
And around your neck, you feel the rough scratch of a rope halter. Your husband calls out, "What am I bid for this fine woman? Strong back, good teeth." You're standing there, your heart's pounding, your life is about to change. But here's the really strange part.
Mm.
This isn't actually illegal.
Right.
In the twisted logic of the time, this might be your only shot at freedom, your only way out. Welcome to the deep dive. We unpack fascinating stories from history, trying to get at the hidden truths.
Yeah.
And today, wow, we are diving into something really shocking, complex, the practice of Victorian wife selling.
That's quite a story.
We're going to look at the legal background, the mechanics of these sales, the women's role, which is often surprising, and, what it all means for us.
Absolutely. And it's more than just a bizarre historical footnote, isn't it? This really opens a window onto a legal system that was so rigid, so unforgiving for the poor, that they basically had to invent their own solutions.
Their own kind of justice.
Exactly. We'll dig into the why behind it, agency, survival, and just the sheer cost to human dignity when the official systems fail you.
Okay, so let's start there. To really get why wife selling even happened, we need to understand the legal situation for women back then. This thing called coverture.
That's the key, coverture. In Victorian England, especially before, say, the 1870s, 1880s, when a woman married, her legal identity just vanished.
Just vanished.
Poof, gone. So William Blackstone, a huge legal name back then, wrote in 1753 that the very being or legal existence of the woman is suspended during the marriage.
Suspended.
Or at least is consolidated and incorporated into that of her husband.
Yeah.
She became what they called a femme couvert, a covered woman, hidden under his legal umbrella.
So let's make that real. Think about maybe a working class woman, Mary Thompson, 1820s. Before marriage.
Before marriage, Mary could own things, sign a contract, maybe even sue someone. She had a separate legal identity.
But the second she says, "I do,"
Everything changes.
Yeah.
Her wages, if she worked, his. Any inheritance she got, his. Even the clothes on her back.
No way.
Legally, yes, they belong to her husband. It's almost impossible for us to imagine now.
It really is. And protection. What if her husband was abusive?
Very little. The law gave a husband the right to correct his wife.
Correct her. Like a child.
Or a dog, frankly. If he beat her, unless it was life-threateningly severe, the law mostly looked the other way. If he drank all their money, gambled it away.
Nothing she could do legally?
Nope. He was the head of the household, his decisions, his property. Her suffering was legally irrelevant in many ways.
So, trapped, miserable marriage, maybe abuse, poverty.
Right.
What legal way out did someone like Mary have, it sounds like? None.
Almost none. For the rich, the aristocracy, divorce was technically possible, but it needed a private act of parliament, meaning a whole new law passed just for your divorce. Before 1857, that cost at least £1,000.
£1,000. What's that today?
About £118,000. Just think about that.
Unbelievable. For ordinary people.
Completely impossible.
Yeah.
Even after 1857, when they set up divorce courts, it still cost around £40.
And £40 was?
More than a farm laborer earned in an entire year.
A whole year's wages.
Yeah.
Just for a divorce. So yeah, for most people, that door was firmly shut.
Locked and bolted. So if your marriage was unbearable and you were poor, what were your real options?
Okay, yeah. What could they do?
Well, practically speaking, about 5 things. 1, agree to separate, but you couldn't remarry. 2, desertion, just disappear, hope he doesn't find you. Very. 3, church court separation, expensive, difficult, and again, no remarriage. 4, death, his or yours.
Grim.
Yeah. Or 5, the really drastic one we're talking about today, sell your wife.
Okay, so against that backdrop, this grotesque idea of wife selling starts to make a kind of desperate sense. It still sounds utterly demeaning, but you mentioned there's more to it about the women's role.
Exactly. It emerged, late 17th century, probably just out of pure desperation. And it got reinforced by this folk logic. If the law treats her like property.
Then maybe you can transfer that property.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
In an informal way. So this ritual developed. It was humiliating, no doubt, but also in a really bizarre way, kind of dignified. A public act that mimicked divorce and remarriage.
A public performance.
Yes. And the really surprising thing, as you said, is that for many women, this wasn't the ultimate act of being powerless. It was actually their only way to grab some control, some agency, their only path to a new life.
That really flips the script. So tell us, how did these sales actually happen? What did it look like?
Well, it often started publicly, sometimes even an ad in the local paper.
An ad, like
Yeah.
for cattle.
Distressingly similar. You know, John Smith selling his wife Mary, Doncaster Market, Tuesday next. Healthy, strong, good character. No reasonable offer refused.
Oh my.
Or sometimes more blunt. Thomas Brown, tired of his wife, will dispose of her. It's shocking to read.
I bet. And then on the day.
On the day, the husband would literally lead her to a public place. Market Square, usually. Maybe outside a pub.
And the halter. That's real.
Oh, yeah. Usually rope, sometimes just a ribbon, around her neck or her arm or waist. It wasn't just symbolic. It was the mark of property being transferred.
Just like livestock.
Precisely. Then the husband, acting like an auctioneer, would list her good points. She's 26, can have kids, good needleworker, has all her teeth.
Appalling.
Men would look her over, check her hands for calluses, proof she could work hard, look at her face, maybe ask her to speak.
That image, a woman with a rope being inspected, it's just gut-wrenching. Total powerlessness, right? But you're saying, maybe not always?
Exactly. This is where it gets really fascinating, because when you dig into the records, the diaries, the newspaper reports, a different picture often emerges.
Okay.
In most documented cases, it seems the sale was actually arranged beforehand.
Arranged.
Yeah. The buyer wasn't some random stranger. He was often the woman's lover, someone she wanted to be with.
So the whole auction was a show.
A performance. A really humiliating one, yes, but a necessary one. It was like a folk divorce and remarriage ceremony rolled into one public event.
Why public? Why the humiliation?
Because that made it witnessed. In their minds and the community's minds, that public act gave it legitimacy. It made the separation real, binding, in a way the law wouldn't recognize.
So it wasn't always a poor, helpless woman being sold off. She might have actually wanted this, agreed to it, even pushed for it.
Absolutely. There's a famous case from Brighton, 1826, inspired Thomas Hardy, mayor of Casterbridge.
Right.
A man sold his wife for £5 to a sailor. The newspaper report said she seemed nothing loath to go.
Nothing loathed, meaning she was okay with it.
Seemed happy even.
Yeah.
The report said the whole thing was done with good humor. For those three people, this bizarre ritual was probably their only way to end one relationship and start another with some kind of social acceptance.
Wow.
And there's an even more amazing one from Walk Market, 1830. Wife being sold for 2 shillings and 6 pence. The husband gets cold feet at the last minute.
Oh.
She tells him off. Says, "Let be your rogue. I will be sold. I want to change."
She insisted.
She insisted. That's incredible agency, isn't it? And the most degrading circumstances imaginable.
So the money then maybe wasn't the main point if it was prearranged.
Often, no. That's a sharp insight. Prices were all over the place. You see sales for £100 plus extra for the kids. That's like £18,000 today. A fortune.
Huge sum.
But you also see sales for just a pint of beer. Most were somewhere in the middle, maybe 2 to 5 shillings, 20 to 50 pounds in today's terms.
Pocket change, relatively speaking.
Right. The cash was often symbolic. What really mattered was the public act. Having dozens, maybe hundreds of people watch, that gave it weight. It was the community validating something the law ignored.
The ceremony was the thing. Did they try to make it feel official, even in this unofficial way?
It really did sometimes.
Yeah.
You find examples of actual bills of sale being drawn up.
Seriously?
Yeah, using language copied from property deeds. I do sell, assign, and set over. Ann Parsons, wife of the said John Parsons, with, all right, property, claim, for her natural life.
Trying to make it look legal.
Exactly. And often the whole thing ended with a celebration, a wedding feast at the local pub, paid for by the new husband.
A feast?
Sometimes. In one case in 1827, the local church bells even rang afterwards.
Church bells? You're kidding.
Nope. As if celebrating a proper wedding. The whole community playing along to bypass an impossible law.
It's just mind-boggling, the community condoning this charade. But, okay, while many sales might have been arranged, surely not all of them. There must have been cases where the woman really was just sold off like an object. No agency at all.
You're absolutely right to push on that. It wasn't always consensual. There were definitely tragic cases where women were genuinely auctioned off to strangers.
Like what?
Well, there's a grim one from Southwark, 1766. A carpenter sells his wife in a fit of conjugal indifference. Basically, he was fed up.
Okay.
Then he sobered up, regretted it, asked her to come back. She refused. He couldn't cope. He hanged himself.
Gosh, That's horrifying. The desperation on all sides.
It really shows the impossible binds people were in. The legal system created these pressures with no safety valve.
Are there other examples where it's clear the woman didn't consent?
Oh, yes. Manchester, 1824, a wife is knocked down, sold for 5 shillings, but the report says she was not liking the purchaser.
So she objected.
Apparently. And they put her up for sale again. She eventually went for 3 shillings and a quart of ale. It shows her feelings mattered a bit, maybe. But imagine the terror. Being sold twice
Awful.
in Halifax, 1837. A blacksmith sells his wife for a shilling, then buys her back, then sells her again to someone else.
What?
When she found out, the report says she mauled her faithless spouse rather severely.
Good for her.
Right. But it clearly shows she hadn't agreed to any of it. Her only power was physical retaliation after the fact.
And children, were they? Were they part of the deal sometimes?
Tragically, yes. Sometimes included in the price, almost like accessories.
Oh, no.
That 1865 sale for £100, it included 25 extra for each of her 2 children, just bundled with their mother.
That's heartbreaking.
More often, though, it seems the children were just left behind.
Yeah.
Separated from their mother by a transaction they couldn't possibly understand.
It's just so hard to square this with, with law and order. What did the authorities actually do? Did they try to stop it? Prosecute people?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But their response was, well, all over the map. Often confused, sometimes complicit.
Let's listen.
Yeah. Legally, wife selling was nonsense. It had zero basis in law. It was basically conspiracy to commit adultery, leading to bigamy if the new couple married.
So illegal.
Technically, yes. But many local magistrates, local officials,
Yeah.
they seemed unsure or unwilling to intervene.
Unwilling. Why?
There's a crazy story from Ashbourne in Derbyshire, 1819. A magistrate tries to stop a sale. The crowd pelts him with mud, drives him off.
Wow.
And later he actually admitted, I don't think I have a right to prevent it. It rests upon a custom. Perhaps it would be dangerous to deprive them, the people, of it.
He backed down. He said custom trumped the law.
He essentially did. He felt the local, informal law of the people was stronger in that moment than his official authority.
That is truly incredible. The system itself admitting defeat to folk custom.
It really is. And sometimes it was even worse. Some poor law officials, the guys running the workhouses, actually encouraged it.
Encouraged wife selling. Why on earth?
To save money. They didn't want the parish paying to support deserted wives or separated families in the workhouse.
So they'd rather the husband just sell her off.
Exactly. Get her off the parish books. There's a documented case, Henry Cook, 1814. The Effingham workhouse authorities forced him to sell his wife for a shilling.
Forced him?
Yes. The parish even paid for their travel to the market and for the wedding dinner afterwards, just to be rid of the financial burden.
That's state-sponsored wife selling almost. Astonishing level of institutional involvement.
It shows how deeply embedded the problems were. And you mentioned geography earlier.
Yeah, where did this happen most?
The records show Yorkshire had the most cases, the industrial north, generally.
Why there?
Probably a mix of things. Rapid industrialization, lots of people moving around, traditional social structures breaking down.
More poverty, maybe?
More poverty, more upheaval. In that chaos, maybe these old folk customs felt like the only stable thing people had to resolve problems like a bad marriage, especially when the formal law was useless to them.
Okay, so this practice eventually started to fade out, you said, around the 1840s, 1850s. What finally killed it off? Was it just society becoming more civilized?
Not just that. Attitudes definitely shifted, but it was more complex. Newspapers started reporting on it more negatively, calling the fails disgusting, disgraceful.
Public opinion turning.
Yeah, the growing middle class especially found it embarrassing. Barbaric, they thought. They pushed for more prosecutions.
So people started doing it more privately.
Exactly. By the 1850s, you see more sales done quietly, with a written deed, trying to keep the legal fiction, but avoid the public spectacle and shame. Plus, you had religious revivals, social reform movements, all changing how people saw things.
But there were legal and economic changes too, right? That must have helped.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Divorce, while still expensive, did become slightly easier after 1857. Not easy, but not requiring an act of parliament.
A small step.
And critically, women started getting some economic power. The Married Women's Property Acts, 1870, then a stronger one in 1882.
What did they do?
They finally allowed married women to own property in their own right, keep their own earnings, inheritances. It started chipping away at that whole coverture idea.
It gave them some independence.
Some, yes. And factory work, while grim, did give some working-class women their own wages, reducing total dependence on a husband. Plus, trains made it easier to just leave.
Just run away.
Yeah. Move to a new city, start over,
Yeah.
less need for the humiliating public sale if you could just disappear. The last recorded sale apparently was 1913. By then it was seen as a bizarre relic.
Wow. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? How far things have changed, but also maybe how easily rights can be taken for granted. What's the big takeaway for us today from digging into this?
I think the real horror isn't just the halter and the auction block. It's what the necessity for that ritual tells us about the society itself.
Right.
These weren't, barbarians. They were ordinary people, acting rationally, maybe desperately, within a system that was fundamentally irrational and unjust for them.
And the law fails.
People create their own law, their own solutions, however messy, however awful they look to us now.
And it definitely makes you see the women differently, too, not just as victims.
Not just victims at all. Many were active agents, making impossible choices, yes, but choices nonetheless. To survive abuse, to find happiness, to get a second chance, the law denied them.
They endured the humiliation for a reason.
They did. And the crowds watching, they weren't just there for a freak show. They were witnesses, participants in a way, validating this rough justice because the official justice system was absent for them.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? Progress isn't automatic. The rights we have now, divorce, property, just being seen as a full legal person.
Hard won. Came at a huge cost for people who lived before us. Those market squares are shopping centers now. The halters are gone.
Thank goodness.
But think about those women. As you sit here today, with your legal rights, your ability to own things, to end a marriage, remember them. Remember the price they paid, often just a few shillings, but also their dignity for chance at freedom.
Remembering them honors their struggle.
It does, and it reminds us to keep asking the hard questions.
Like what? What are those urgent questions for us now?
Well, how do we make sure our legal systems, our social systems, actually serve real human needs?
Yeah.
Not just abstract ideas. How do we make sure progress and justice reach everyone, not just the wealthy or privileged?
Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, how do we build a society where no one is ever forced to choose between their basic dignity and their survival, where no one has to resort to desperate, degrading measures because the proper channels are blocked or simply don't exist for them?
That question definitely still resonates today, long after the last wife was sold.
It certainly does.